Hello everyone. We've had a weekend number 2 of this season. Well, pre-season. So it's time to go wild. It's the Time to Go Wild Radio podcast, available on YouTube and Podbean. Also picked up on Amazon Podcasts. If you want to contact us throughout the week, you can do. Facebook or Twitter.com/TTGW Radio. You can email ttgwradio@outlook.com or text 07849 767755. It was actually quite a busy weekend of things going on in the world of hockey. Season's getting close to starting for the YKK Widnes Wild. So let's find out what's going on. It's time to go wild. Hello and welcome to another Time to Go Wild Radio podcast. I hope you're going to stay with us as we look at some of the events that have been happening over the last week and the weekend. Of course, your YKK Widnes Wild were in action this weekend, just gone, and it was a busy one. 2 games this weekend where we had, of course, the Telford Tigers from Division 2, a veritable serious foe for us to take on this time out, and it was going to be a tricky one, of course. So, well, things didn't quite go the way we wanted, but we were a little short-benched as well. Not making any excuses as a rule. But, still rebuilding, still finding our feet. So, plenty to take in from the game and plenty to build from. Of course, the game on Saturday night at Planet Ice Widnes didn't quite finish the way we wanted. It was a 3-5 game win to the Telford Tigers. But that is a well-established team, and they play really well. Wild still got some things to work on in training, but lots of promise and a lot of, as we've been saying from the beginning, a lot of young players. And then the reverse leg on Sunday night down in Telford finished 4-1 in favour of the Telford Tigers this time. But again, not a particularly big bench looking at the roster list. And unfortunately, we've got an injury as well, with Tristan Grimshaw being out injured, and the call-up of Joel Bark, of course. So Joel was playing the previous weekend, of course, against us for the Bradford Bulldogs, and acquitted himself really well on Saturday. So it is a tough time, this beginning part of the season. And next weekend, of course, is when the season really gets going in earnest for Widnes. A couple of other teams, I think, have got their seasons underway already, and it's looking like the game day system is starting to be used. So we never know where things are going to go with that. Hopefully, it's going to take off properly and we'll be able to bring you a quicker and easier access to the fixtures and, of course, the results as things go on throughout the season. And we also had some rec hockey action on Sunday with the Halton Huskies taking on the Blackburn Renegades. It was their playoff cup championship game, their final. And started off well in favour of the Huskies, but the Renegades turned on the magic to take the win at the end of the night. A very big turnout, a massive thank you to everybody who came down to support both of the teams at Planet Ice Widnes last night. Really good turnout, cracking atmosphere. If you didn't come along, actually, you missed out on a pretty thrilling game. It had all kinds of tussles and sort of feistiness and good rivalry, I must admit. And they get very, very lively at times, I must admit. So, you never know what can happen in the world of ice hockey. But coming back to Saturday night, after the game, I managed to catch up with Andrew Craik and have a little chat, and this is what he had to say. Well, pre-season game number 2, if I'm not mistaken, for the YKK Widnes Wild against Telford Tigers from Division 2. I've got Andrew Craik with me. Well, Andrew, it was not quite the result we were after, but it's still a good workout for the guys.
Yeah, not the result we're after, but it is pre-season. Short bench tonight, but I'm not going to make that excuse. They were just a better team, so we're just got to regroup and come back at harder tomorrow.
I mean, it's tricky pre-season because it's finding the lines, finding your feet, seeing how everyone fits together. I mean, you've been with the team a little while now, new to this division. How are you finding it?
Yeah, like you said, everybody's still trying to gel together and we're still trying to work on things, so it's good these games that this team's pushed us tonight because it's not going to be easy this year because of all the rebuilding stuff, but yeah, we're just going to get right back in there.
So, I mean, what sort of key things do you feel you've got as a little attribute that you might be able to bring without giving too much away naturally?
I would say I'm a very good team guy, a very defensive forward, but apart from that...
I mean, you not have sort of height and size, but I suppose you've got the speed to compensate with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the fastest guy, but yeah, I'm not the slowest either, so yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a tough season. I mean, I take it last year you kept your eye on the divisions, so you've got a rough idea of this kind of opposition we're going to have and who's going to be the really big, tough opponents. But, you know, you take each game as it comes.
Yeah, like you said, I played in this league before, but I played in this league with the Sharks 2 years ago. We've won it. We've actually won this a couple of times, but it's completely different than the Widnes. So different team, different style of play, and like I said, it's a different league. So yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, as you say, the team structure you had at Solway was very well established. So you know, I suppose it gives you a chance to sort of try something new as well with your style of play and with the different players around you.
Yeah, it's always very structured, but it's actually, we've got pretty good structure here as well. It was just, like I said, pre-season we were trying to find how to play with each other and figure out what to do and when to do it. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean the difference between the sort of the Scottish junior divisions, English junior divisions, in some ways there's not much of a difference between them. But then of course senior level for the higher levels, the Scottish National League versus say Division 1 cum National League. What sort of parity would you say that the SNL would be to the English leagues?
I'd like to say the SNL's getting a bit better from playing in it last year, but like you say, there's a couple of really, really good teams in this league, so I'll say this league's it takes a lot more skill to play in this league, I would say.
Well, it's going to be a tough game again tomorrow down in Telford. It's going to be a bit of a battle for everybody, but you just got to go and do what you can.
Yeah, like I said, all the boys are going to regroup tonight, stay sensible, and come back tomorrow 10 times harder because it's pre-season and we need to get these wins in.
Well, it's good to catch up with you. Thanks for joining me, and keep fit, keep healthy, and keep going.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks once again, Andrew. It's always good to talk to the players, just even if it's for a couple of minutes, just to get a feel for how the game's gone for them, how they're fitting in, I should say, and the season's starting to build and come together. It is going to be a hard start to the season. Some of the teams have had big rebuilds. Widnes isn't the only one. And, you know, we as fans and supporters, we will get our team or teams over the finish line. It is a tough year ahead. Some teams are quite solidified from last year and just added a few tweaks. Other teams have got a big change, a big structure change. Some have gone with a lot of youth, as Widnes have. So, you know, we will find out as the season unfolds. If the very first season of the Widnes Wild's anything to go by, it was a tough start to the first part of the season. Then as the team settled, the results really did start to come in, and the fans stuck with it, and it all of a sudden started to pay dividends. So we have to have the faith with our teams, and we will get them over the finish line. Now, a couple of news items, courtesy of England Ice Hockey. First one up is England Ice Hockey have announced the departure of Steve Merry from the events team. Before the events team really got established, Steve ran the Final Four event in Coventry for many years, looking after all logistics involving like officials, IHUK officials, off-ice officials, a volunteer army, and all the logistics that go along with that. And it is a big weekend down in Coventry for those of you who've been. 12 2020 saw the events team being formed, and with that they took over sort of the whole 5 divisions of NIHL, and he's worked with Sheffield Council, Public Health England, and other rinks as well to sort out events, particularly those that have been at Ali Pally, Widnes and Milton Keynes over the years. And following the departure of Steve, of course, there's been a restructure of the events team. It will now be headed up by Danny Purchard, and with the support of Lucy Spalton and Michelle Lee stepping up more so into the event managers' positions alongside their current EIH roles. 2 additional assistants have joined the team, that of Bethany Jacobs and Rachel Gallagher. And having worked with both Rachel and Beth at some of the events, I know the team's in really, really good hands. So, a little bit of a restructure, but it's going to be a fairly familiar team. They're used to running events, all of them being involved in events, so things should be in good hands as we move forward. A name that's very familiar to a lot of us, particularly around Widnes or Manchester, Altrincham area. She's heavily involved with the women's divisions, of course, that of Faye Andrews. Faye has joined the board of directors at EIH, so best of luck with that position now, Faye. She's also acted as general manager for the WNIHL for the last 3 years. I've known Faye for a number of years. She really is committed to ice hockey. She loves the sport, so best of wishes to her in her new position. And finally, the Department of Player Safety of the EIH have provided an update on some rules and procedures as part of the 2024-25 season. And one of the changes is how a suspension is managed for any player currently serving a ban. And I'm reading from the website, but the full rules are available for download. In previous seasons, if a player icing in multiple leagues received a suspension, this had to be sat at the level at which it was obtained. This could mean a long suspension where leagues may have a long season with fewer games due to ice availability. DOP sees the frustration that this has caused, and a new solution has been proposed and agreed upon by the necessary stakeholders within the association. The new solution allows for suspensions to continue to be seen as a deterrent, while allowing for continued development and allowing players to play the sport they love. So for the up and coming season, any player who any player who plays at multiple levels will sit the suspension at each level they play. Where leagues have varying schedules, this should allow a player to return to play at one level while waiting for the suspension to be served at another. Appendix K outlines more of the rules. It's basically the DOPS manager agreed that junior players currently serving suspension can serve the remainder of their suspension as per the new guidelines for this season to allow a swift return to action. Basically, if I read it right, last year if a player was playing under 14s and under 16s and took a suspension at under 16s, they couldn't play under 14s until the ban was served at under 16s. So they had to sit out both under 14s and under 16s games. And if, of course, a player was playing 14s and 16s, took a suspension at under 14s, they then couldn't play 14s and 16s and had to sit out until the under 14s fixtures have been completed. Sounds like this version is a case of if they're playing 14s and 16s, if they get a suspension at under 16s, they can still play under 14s, or vice versa. If the ban is at 14s, they could still play 16s, while the ban is still at force at under 14s. Might be confusing, but in some ways I think it does clear up a bit of confusion in some ways that may have been caused, where some wires may have got cross with people, and there was a lot of to-in and fro-in and questions, and has the ban been served or hasn't the ban been served, and then if a game's been rescheduled, etc., etc., and it can get very, 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 very confusing. So, fingers crossed that is going to be sorted, all cleared up now, and the new rules are available from englandicehockey.com. Click on the relevant links and you will find it to download. So, that's the main little bit of news. So, we shall do our little roundup of our other bits. Of course, if you want everything Widnes Wild, it's widneswild.co.uk, and the Facebook and Twitter pages, or as it is now X, it's Widnes Wild as the ending flag. For Instagram, it's Widnes Wild Official, and for the YouTube page, it is Widnes Wild Ice Hockey Club. So we have a new plethora of sponsors. So find my list. We have, of course, our title sponsor once again, and we thank them again. It's YKK. Our penalty boxes this year sponsored by Fresco Environmental. Our timekeeping bench is sponsored by Sigmatex. We have our additional sponsors of Cheshire Taxation, DMH Tyres, Roger Truck Services, RTS, MPG Maintenance, Bright Spark Event Lighting, Northwest Mixers, Ready Mixed Concrete Providers, and Newton Construction. And our player sponsorships for our number 72, Charlie Henry. His main sponsor is Bear Aesthetics, and additional sponsors of La Jolie Ronde and Alice J. Clark, Sports Romance Writer. And Bez Hughes, our number 20, is sponsored by Barlow's EV. As last year. We thank them for their support, and of course we thank you for all of your support. So, just a little bit of housekeeping on some up-and-coming fixtures. If you're fancying a little bit of Elite League action this Friday, it's the 1-3. I won't say the actual number, but this Friday night, the Manchester Storm take on the Nottingham Panthers. That's at 7:30 p.m. down the road in Altrincham. And then the YKK Widnes Wild are in action on Saturday down the M62 against the Hull Jets, 5:30 p.m. face-off from my calendar. But please, please keep in mind there is travel disruption on the M62 between junctions 18 and 20. There are diversions in place over the weekends. So if you are travelling over to Hull, please factor that into your travel plans. There will be massive disruption on the M62 this weekend, once again due to a bridge being demolished. So if you're travelling over to Hull, please ensure you factor that into your route and time planning. In the meantime, then the Manchester Storm are in Fife on Saturday, but on Sunday, your YKK Widnes Wild host the league champions, the Billingham Stars, from last year. So they will be looking to continue and defend their title. Can Widnes do some damage? Well, come on down. You never ever know. Ice hockey is one of those sports where anything can happen. And then the next weekend, again, some fixtures may still change, but next Friday the 20th of September, the Manchester Storm play the Cardiff Devils in Altrincham at 7:30. On Saturday, I have currently in my fixture list under 18s against Bradford fixture at 6 p.m. ish. I need to double check other fixtures at the moment, so don't take that as a full fixture. There may be another one. And then the Manchester Storm will be up in Dundee as well on Saturday night. But then the following YKK Widnes Wild fixture is, of course, Sunday 22nd of September. And it's the D-Side Dragons making their first appearance of the season at Planet Ice Widnes. So, yeah, not a particularly, gentle start to the season. Billingham the first Sunday, and the second Sunday we get D-Side. don't do things by halves, do we? So there you go. Some up-and-coming fixtures for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll have the calendar fully populated with the junior fixtures and women's fixtures for the coming weeks. Well, as you can tell, slightly different format to the podcast at the moment because we don't have the full roundup of all the scores. We will start putting all that together for the coming weeks once the league is in full swing. From me to you, of course, hope you've been enjoying your ice hockey where you get it. Enjoy it again, of course, this coming weekend. I'll hopefully be back with another podcast next week. Fingers crossed if time allows. And, of course, if you want to drop us any messages, please do so. You can use our Facebook or Twitter feeds with TTGW Radio, or you can text 07849767755, or you can email ttgwradio@outlook.com. One last thing. Of course, we're trying to get our players to pick the warm-up music this year. Our first weekend was a mashup of songs selected from the little player profiles that have been done from each player. And then, of course, last weekend, just gone, the songs were those selected by our captain, Andrew Hopkins. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears open. You never know what we're going to bring you each week. Could be interesting. And you never know, you might find something you like. In the meantime, have a good rest of the week and enjoy your hockey where you get it as it comes up. From the Time to Go Wild Radio podcast for another week. Ta-ra.